Bonjour and welcome in your French 1 online class. I'm going to show you a little bit about D2L and then your Top Hat book so that you're familiar with the material before you start. This is what you're going to see in your online page, whether you're OLA or OLAB, it doesn't matter, you have the same home page. This is how the semester will be organized. You have an announcement here. I'm encouraging you to watch this video and to read your syllabus in this message. And I explain a little further how the semester works. So let's start with this. So read your syllabus, of course, because that's going to be the most important document for you to look at every time you have hesitations through the semester. This is your course code that you will need when you go into your online textbook with Top Hat. So that's very valuable. I want you to know that it's here in your syllabus when you need it. When you read your syllabus, you have description, objectives. The objective of the semester is to fulfill the chapter 1 to 6 in your online textbook. They're all listed in your textbook, but you only see those appearing when they are assigned. When they're no longer assigned, they will continue to appear, but as review, which means that they now have the answers to the question, and you can only review those chapters and no longer complete the exercise online. So Top Hat, we will do chapter 1 to 6, and we will have to also read some cultural things which are typically in step 5 of each chapter. The method of instruction is really relying on pre-reading. It is very important that you look at your online textbook very often and that you read it thoroughly. So if we go to full screen, I'm going to show you step 1, chapter 1. You have some things to read. Often it's in English. You have things to listen to. You have images, reading next to the images to illustrate the discourse. Those discourse are also to be listened to in this little window, so you can have the audio and the pronunciation as well as the French writing. The yellow is typically vocab that you need to memorize. So you will see those big yellow boxes. These are question box where you have to answer whether it's matching or choosing the right answer or filling the blanks really doesn't matter. Those are questions that are related to what you've just read. Here you have a little exercise where you have to, for instance, sort the discourse with the vocab in yellow. You need to put this in order. And then you have listening activity where you listen to something and then you answer in the question below. You listen and choose the right answer, A, B, C. These are just examples of things that you have to do, but I would like to also show you that in your textbook sometimes you will be facing what we call grammatical note. So when you find a note grammatica like this one, we're going to go to full screen, you will see that it's often in green like this, and these are with the yellow vocab the most important things to memorize. Anything that's green is grammar that is crucial to memorize, and anything that's yellow is vocabulary to accompany the chapter that you also need to memorize. So the first grammatical note, for instance, for chapter 1 is the verb to be, and that has to be memorized. Anytime you study for a test, you will also see that in the last step you have culture, and in the last step you also have devoir, which is homework. In the devoir for the last step, everything that you need to review for your test, the yellow and the green, is listed here along with some videos to watch and some listening to review pronunciation. So each chapter, as you can see here, is divided in 5 steps. Chapter 1 is divided in chapter 1, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. Each step has technical activities and devoir. Devoir is homework that is associated with what you read in the textbook. So you should always start with the textbook. You read and complete all the activities that you have seen in your textbook. And then you go on to the devoir, complete the activities here that are meant to really reinforce what you have read and done in the textbook part. each of these questions or activity that you will complete will be graded in two ways. A, just participation, so when you complete them, you get a grade. And B, accuracy. So when you're right or when you're wrong, depending on how many rights and wrongs you get a grade. So it's crucial that you do complete all of these activities, questions that you see, both in textbook and devoir, because you will be graded both on participation and accuracy. So when you see a little question, whether you're in a textbook session or in a devoir session, then you need to really complete them and not skip, so you can get the best grade possible here on Top Hat, which then will be reported on your D2L gradebook. When you look at your textbook little activity question, sometimes you will notice, especially at the beginning of the chapter, like here, chapter 1, you have a picture always when you start a chapter. And then you have a little box, orange, that will tell you what the main point of grammar and vocab and culture, what will be treated. Then you scroll down and you have questions that are in French, but you have to answer in English because you're only in 1001. So basically the idea is to read this question and to try to figure out what it says, then to answer it in English in the best way possible. So you have 3 here when you start chapter 1. Those are just questions to introduce you to French, to see if you can make sense of something that has cognates. So basically French, you can recognize French. Here, pays is hard to recognize, so it's translated in country. But when you see something like important, you can tell it means important. So when you see something that resembles your own language, you can make sense of it. When you make sense of these questions, then you can answer that not in French, but in English, obviously. So this is a type of question that's really based on participation only. And then the other types of questions that you will find in your textbook and in your devoir will be based here, for instance, on accuracy and participation. I cannot stress enough that you need to complete all of those in order to get the best grade possible. Once you've finished each step, which is really do step 1 at a different date than step 2, then you will reach, let's say for step 5, probably the 5th time that you have connected into your chapter, and you're ready to take your test on chapter 1 because you've completed all 5 steps. The 5th step is really dedicated to culture. So you will read some cultural articles in French, in English. You will answer some questions that are depending on your readings. And then at the end of the textbook, you will have a song, which is typically cool because it's a French song that you will discover. You will also have some questions to answer. None of them really are correct here for the song because I just want you to listen to it and try to fill the blanks if you can. But I don't base this on accuracy for the songs. Then you will review your vocab, and if you need to see all the main points to review, you will click on Devoir Step 5 and you will see all the vocab and the most important grammar points to review. You also have sometimes a little PowerPoint. You have them for step 1 and step 2. For chapter 1 and chapter 2, I encourage you to make your own PowerPoint with flashcards, so images associated to words. I made the first 2 for chapter 1 and chapter 2. Those are just PowerPoints with images and words to be treated like flashcards. So for instance, if we try to download this one, I will show you. You can also make your own flashcards at home, but sometimes having a PowerPoint is kind of useful when you review for a test. So when it's downloading, I will show you. You can click on each images and then you have the words that appears after. Alright, now that it's ready, I'm going to show you how to review with this. So you can download this for chapter 1 and then you can also do it for chapter 2. It's not something that's mandatory, but if you like it, then you can use it, especially for the first chapters. It's useful. So you start a slideshow like you would for anything, and then you have the image also the way we're going to say the word that is associated with the image. So here, madame, you can click on this and then you will hear
Madame.
So then you go to the next one, monsieur. Then I go to the next one, mademoiselle. The next one, salut. You try to guess what it means. I'm doing well. And then you listen to it.
Ça va bien, merci.
So that's for the PowerPoint. It's just a tool to help you really with your vocab, but it's not something that's mandatory. I made a video on YouTube for you here, and I will make some more through the semester for you to listen to. So I would like you to be aware that anytime I made a video and I put it on YouTube, it's for convenience because it's hard to download on D2L. Let me get rid of this. Okay. Also, I made a little outline that I will send to you. Each day is listed on your outline. So for instance, to help you to get organized. So here, for instance, you have the day, the 7th, where I suggest that you do these things. Watch this video, the introduction to the course, look at Top Hat, your textbook, look at your syllabus, go on Collaborate if you need to do so. Start Top Hat chapter 1. Then on the 8th, we have a Collaborate session that is mentioned here. That session on the 8th will appear on your calendar on D2L, and it's really meant to help you ask questions that are live. You can text, you can speak to me. The idea is I connect on Collaborate on D2L, and then you come to Collaborate on the dates indicated on this outline if you need to ask me questions on the stuff that you've been doing on Top Hat. So where are those Collaborate sessions going to be? They're going to be listed on your D2L calendar. So if we go back to D2L and our home page, you will find that there is a calendar, and that's really the most important place to look at, because here will be listed all the things that you need to do through the semester. So we were in the syllabus, we were looking at our course. There is a little few things I want to show you here. So that's how we're gonna do, we're gonna go through the semester. That was the method of instruction that I just talked about. For makeup policy, that's very important. There is no makeup for scheduled tests or online. If you miss your due dates, Top Hat, as I said, will turn into review and you won't be able to complete your activities. So you need to be on time, check this calendar, and make sure you do everything you need to on the date. This is the grades. 6 tests will be taken on D2L online. You have, as I said, on Top Hat, correctness, a grade, 20%, participation, a grade that's worth 20 as well, 2 composition, which you will do at home, the language lab, which is something we're going to talk about in a minute, and your written final exam, which is proctored. That means that somebody is watching you taking it. And the explanation for the proctored exam are right here on your syllabus. You will need to connect. You will pay a small fee in order to take the test at home, proctored by somebody, but at home on a date of your convenience, so you don't have to come to a classroom for your final exam. Here is the detail, so 6 tests on D2L. The textbook, I'm showing you how you grade it on correctness, but also participation on Top Hat, your 2 composition. The lab. The lab are done either in the labs, which are in your campuses. There is one in Dunlap and one in Gainesville. There is also one in Oconee, for those who are over there next to Athens. The labs can also be done at home, but if you have any technical difficulties, I suggest that you go in the language lab in your campuses, because there you will have assistant that will be able to help you with whatever you need help with. But if you can't go to the lab because this is an online course, you can also do those activities at home. Now, bad technology is not an excuse when you take an online course, so you can't really claim that you couldn't do your lab because your internet was weak or because your computer crashed. When you're having technological issues, you can't use those as an excuse for completing your work last minute and not being able to do so. So my suggestion is that A, you start your work way ahead of the due date, and so B, you can go to the lab if you're having any technological issues. There's also a little technology speech that you can find in your online course that is asking for you to be connected properly to the internet. Let's go back now to the home page. So basically, when you start this course, you want to start here, and then you have some mandatory attendance activities that are extremely important, because if you don't complete those, you won't be present in this class, which means you can also be dropped because it's like not attending a classroom. For instance, if you don't go to your classroom during the first week, the professor, when the time is due, will drop you out of the class as non-attending. It's the same for an online course, so you need to complete those mandatory attendance activities in order to be present. Like I said, read your syllabus, you're watching this video, and then your next step will probably to connect to Top Hat, since it's going to be all your activities are going to be listed there. This is your course code. You have to buy your subscription. It's going to be way less expensive than a textbook you would have to buy for a classroom. Any textbook for languages now ranges from 200 to 150 with all the audio and the video that is associated with it, and the homework workbook, which is typically also online. So this is going to be a nice break for your budget, since you will only have to buy a Top Hat subscription and then put your course code to access the French textbook. I just want to stress that other professors at UNG are using Top Hat, and you don't have to buy a subscription twice if you're already using it for math or biology. All you need is to buy the subscription once and then to enter the class code, which is different for each classes you're taking on Top Hat. I explain all of this here. The last thing I want to talk about is Collaborate Classroom. When we collaborate, we come with questions. Like I said, in your little outline, you have some dates that are dedicated to collaboration. Those are the dates when I'm sitting behind my computer and you can see me or not, talk to me, and then ask me the questions that you need to ask because you're having problems, you don't understand a certain grammar rule. This is when you ask questions. Obviously, you can see there's a Collaborate Classroom here right before your step 1 is due. So if you're having any difficulty with step 1, you need to connect on that date. If you're having any difficulty on step 2, which is due here, you need to connect on Collaborate the day right before. So that's what Collaborate is for. Finally, and I'm going to go back to your home page, the calendar. Obviously, the most important place to go to every time you connect, you go on D2L, you go to your calendar and you see what is due. What did I forget to do this week? Here you will see your Collaborate class popping up, and you can click on them in order to connect to me. You will also see all the things that are due that you need to be thinking about each and every day. So you have a lot of reminders. You have your outline to remind you what to do each day. You have your calendar on D2L where you can go and see what is due. You have your syllabus, obviously, that you need to look at every time you have any hesitation about your grades or other mandatory things. And then this message that I would ask you to read in order to start with your course. I wish you the best. I hope you have a great semester. If you have any problems, you can also email me. My contact information is on the syllabus. Au revoir.